Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream today. I'm actually really excited about this stream because we have with us today Tawaki. He's a research scientist at is it Hyperscale Graphics Systems Group, and he's going to be talking about Kaolin. And I admittedly don't know a lot about Kaolin, and specifically Kaolin Wisp, which was a big hit at SIGGRAPH this year. So I'm super excited uh, to uh, to actually get to know what it is, what it does, and and bring it to the community. So before we get started, announcements. Do we have it? I know there's one big one. The-
So we have
yeah.
a, a couple things, as is always the case. SIGGRAPH just wrapped up. We talked about that a few minutes ago in the warm up, where our guest was presenting actually on this topic today. So that'll be exciting to hear everything from there. But obviously, the GTC is never too far away, and that is definitely the case now. We are literally just less than a month away from NVIDIA's conference, which takes place September 19th to the 22nd. We're going to be have lots of Omniverse content specific to that. If you could go to the GTC site really easily, register for free. It's all virtual. So just go to nvidia.com/GTC. That'll bring you to the right page. And if Wendy, if you want to share my screen, I have a slide up with some of the Omniverse specific
Absolutely.
sessions.
Yes.
So thank you for from our teammates at the marketing side to help us with this slide. But basically, yeah, there's going to be many sessions about Omniverse. These are the ones which we think are most exciting to most people. So talking from the artist perspective, talking about the metaverse, which we actually did a great live stream on last week with Rev, and spent some time on metaverse talking about what that really means for everybody. But I think what it says here is in line with what we talked about last week. HTML for 3D virtual worlds. And then in line with the contest, which we'll talk about more in a second, but we're going to be doing how to build extensions and apps for virtual worlds with Omniverse. Obviously, this year is a big year for developers who want to leverage the Omniverse platform to build your tools, build your connectors, to improve your workflow or to connect with other cool things, leveraging USD. So that will be really helpful for the developers who maybe did not make it in time for the contest, which is happening right now. Technically, there's still time. And also just people who are veterans and want to learn how to up their game with it. And then finally, we have a favorite event of most of the folks here, which is the GTC Omniverse User Group, where we take some time to celebrate not only the partners and other companies doing great things with Omniverse and their software, but also most importantly the users all over the world who are leveraging Omniverse to improve their workflows, get things done better, quicker, more iteration, be able to work with teams. So we're going to be celebrating those things with some great interviews, and we're going to actually talk about the roadmap. So GTC Omniverse User Group is a great time to hear what's been happening, and what will happen with Omniverse. So I hope everyone can make it. Go ahead and register now. The sooner you register, you'll get more timely announcements on everything, and yeah, and we could all also we're going to be doing a channel on Discord server, which is live right now, specifically about GTC. So if you want to start talking about GTC but can't wait, that's what that channel is for. You can talk about the sessions or anything else, any questions you have, and we'll answer. So that's on the Omniverse Discord server.
Yeah. Awesome.
Let me see. The other thing, while I have the screen open, we do have, so I just mentioned a second ago that we are in the middle of our Extend Omniverse contest. I don't know if technically it's in the middle, but it's close to it because we decided to extend the Extend Omniverse contest. Which means that it didn't end last Friday. And kind of what happened is that at SIGGRAPH, we had Omniverse Labs, and we had standing room only at those labs. A lot of developers who were just being introduced to Omniverse for the first time. We got a lot of requests, not only from folks that were there, but also in the community that were still working on their extensions and wanted a little bit more time. So it was an easy decision for us. So we extended it to September 9th. So plenty of time. And we have folks like Maddie, Jen, Ashley. We have a good presence on the forums and also on the Discord server to help people who are working on extensions. So please, if you are working on your extension for this contest with some great prizes, look at that. You can start asking questions to get the support you need. But we also have a couple things, in addition to Discord, to ask questions. We also have a live stream that's happening tomorrow, specifically about the contest extension. Damien will be on there. I think Paul Cutsinger will also be joining us. And Maddie, of course, and Wendy will be there. So we're going to be just diving into the contest and helping people with questions they might have on their extension. We'll probably go through GitHub and take a look at some of the latest submissions. And I'm sure if anyone's seen them, they will be as impressed as we have been with some of the contest submissions we've seen so far. So really excited to see what people do. Yeah, so it's very straightforward. But if you have any questions about using GitHub, or if you're the first-time developer diving into this contest, which some people who have submitted have said this is the first time that they've done anything with Python, which is super exciting. Which also means that likely you can do it too. So you have till September 9th. So that is the contest. And then most importantly, the topic for today, we have a great blog, which is here. If you want to read about it, get some more background after the live stream. But we're talking about Kaolin Wisp, which, like Wendy, was a new term to me. And I believe we just kind of let it out of the bag at SIGGRAPH. So we have a very special guest here, Tawaki. Thank you so much for joining us. And I guess what I would like to start off with, for everyone there in the audience who might not know what this is, can you tell us what are neural fields and how does Kaolin Wisp play into that? And who should probably pay attention to this the most?
Yeah, thanks, Edmar. I guess a big backdrop of all this is that NVIDIA and many others have been focusing on neural graphics. This is kind of like a broad idea of using neural networks and deep learning for graphics pipelines. Neural fields is one fundamental part of that, where neural fields are a new way of representing 3D data. So traditionally, you have like things like triangle meshes, quads, or like volumetric data structures. Neural fields is like basically a newcomer into the space of like 3D representations. It offers like new kinds of benefits that are useful for tasks like 3D reconstruction or 3D scanning and many others that we envision in the future. One of the big, I guess, projects from NVIDIA that is in this space is Instant NGP. Basically, Instant NGP, you can use a phone camera or something like that, wave it around in like a 3D scene or like walk around outside with a camera to capture a scene. And you can load it up into Instant NGP to actually train a neural network that represents that scene. And you can basically like re-render that 3D scene and walk around in it and like do all sorts of awesome stuff with it. Our Kaolin Wisp library is very much going towards that goal of basically enabling neural graphics. So whereas Instant NGP is a super optimized, super easy to use, but still like a little bit hard to extend library of like very complicated CUDA and C++ components, Kaolin Wisp is much more, I guess, geared towards researchers and people who want to do R&D in a much easier to use Python and PyTorch environment, where you can, take advantage of the Python debugger, take advantage of the Python, environment, and do research or R&D or like prototyping within Kaolin Wisp before you might, actually like integrate your features into something like Instant NGP, which offers much more end-to-end performance for performance-sensitive apps. That's kind of like the lightning pitch for Kaolin Wisp.
I love it. Well, that was great. So at SIGGRAPH, so tell me what. So at SIGGRAPH, you presented to an audience on this, and you have some of those slides here. You wanna go through with us so we can walk through a little deeper.
Sounds great. So let me try sharing my screen.
And Wendy, I think your mic might still be a little low. At least it was at the.
Okay. I'll turn that up. Thank you.
All right, is my screen share working?
Yes.
Awesome. So yeah, this is the slides that we gave at SIGGRAPH. And I just wanted to mention that this project is a collaboration between a bunch of different people. here we list the people who were at SIGGRAPH. So Or Perel, Clement Fujitang, Masha were with me at all with me at SIGGRAPH to present Kaolin Wisp. But this is a work of many, many NVIDIAns and even non-NVIDIAns that have collaborated to this library over the years. So, yeah. And so basically, in the last few years, we've been super excited about something called neural fields. I mentioned earlier, but neural fields are a new way of representing 3D data using neural networks that enables like super exciting new directions in 3D content capture and sharing. This is an example of a 3D construction from an iPhone video of Karen Cheng playing the piano. And I think this is, to me, this is like a very much the future of sharing new 3D experiences and content with people and really connecting people across the world with much more immersive captures of the world.
This is amazing.
So neural fields are a way of representing 3D data volumetrically by associating basically each 3D coordinate with a quantity. In this case, it's specifically color and density, where density reflects how much particles there are in that location, and color represents, literally just like the color that exists there. Although we're mostly focused on 3D content capture and sharing and stuff like that, fields are actually like a fairly general concept that can be applicable in like many different fields, even outside graphics. So fields are basically anything that has some value at a coordinate, and coordinate is really just like a point in space. So for anything that has a value in a point in space, you can represent as a field, and that's like a very general definition that applies to all sorts of stuff like audio, time distance fields, even explicit surfaces like parabolas, or maybe even like images or like vector fields that represent some kind of physical quantity that might exist on some kind of like manifold or just 3D space or anything like that. One example of this is stuff like electromagnetic fields or flow fields or whatever you want to define a field as. Neural fields specifically use a neural network to parameterize this field. So a neural network takes input coordinates as input, in this case XYZ, which is the 3D space coordinate, and theta and phi, which represent the viewing direction, and basically feed in these coordinates into a neural network, which outputs some kind of signal. So in this case, RGB and density in the neural radiance field example. This is really useful because this sort of pipeline is completely differentiable. And being differentiable also means that you can learn it inside a pipeline. So this is exactly how all of these neural radiance field reconstruction techniques works. Basically, what you can do is yeah, so what you saw there basically is that this artist was able to just take a content of like a 3D scene just by basically waving a phone camera around this person, and then feed it into instant NGP to make a reconstruction of this scene and re-render it and everything. And this field has been a super, super hot field in the last few years. This is just like a graph that shows the number of, academic publications, so basically research papers in the field of neural fields. And this is actually like a pretty long field that actually goes back to 1998, but the field wasn't very big back then. And it really started exploding in this last 2-3 years in terms of publications. And we also at NVIDIA and many other collaborators also wrote a survey paper on neural fields in visual computing, which you should definitely check out if you're interested. Since this was at SIGGRAPH, we also like showcased some of the NVIDIA works that were recently published, as well as the ones that we showcased at SIGGRAPH. So the two on the right is some of the papers that we showcased at SIGGRAPH. And basically, like what this kind of shows is that we have a lot of interest internally in these neural field technology, but even also like externally, there's this explosion of papers, which basically means that the number of papers you need to read to understand what really all these state-of-the-art neural fields architectures are and everything is actually super difficult. So basically, like what we did was that we looked at all these different papers. We looked at all these complicated diagrams of different components of neural fields, algorithms and architectures and everything and frameworks. And basically, if you squint at these and try to disseminate what's important about them, you start to see patterns of basically components that are shared among these different complicated research projects. So this is kind of me color coding the different components of these different complicated architectures to kind of like disseminate the important components that are shared. And basically what we did is that in Kaolin Wisp, we took all these different complicated components that exist in all these different neural fields papers and basically created a library of these common components that are shared amongst a bunch of different neural fields papers so that you can easily implement your own, or maybe even like, implement your own new custom component on top of this and add it to the library or anything to do research on it. So this is kind of like an overview of like, some of the features that we ship in the library right now, but we plan to ship a lot more features in the coming months. In addition to just the library, we also provide a nice GUI. So this is a interactive render view of neural fields. So basically what you can do is that you can load up all your cameras. All the things that you see surrounding this Lego model is all the camera positions that you captured with. You can also do things like, visualize the data structures that are used in this like neural field architecture, and you can also click basically a button to start training it, show the loss functions, all that kind of stuff. One thing I want to mention is that Kaolin Wisp is part of the Kaolin ecosystem, which is basically all of the 3D deep learning libraries that we develop within NVIDIA. This is all under the Kaolin umbrella. And specifically, we use the Kaolin core library, which is a PyTorch and CUDA library of a more general 3D deep learning tasks, like, for example, like data structures or meshes or all that kind of stuff. We basically use, on Kaolin Wisp, we build on top of Kaolin core and basically add all the neural field specific components as well as this interactive app. I mentioned this a little bit earlier also, but many people might ask or be curious how Kaolin Wisp is different from Instant NGP. The main difference here is that Instant NGP already has everything built together. It's like an end-to-end product that you can use already, and basically it's super optimized, super fast, all that kind of stuff. In contrast, in Kaolin Wisp, what we want to provide is the building blocks for doing something like Instant NGP. So you can take all of the different small components that make up Instant NGP or even other papers, and basically like you can build up your own Lego model using these building blocks to build your own framework customized to yourself. I'm not going to go into the details of the kind of the coding features that we offer, but you should definitely check out some of the documentation that we have on GitHub and other places if you're curious. And I guess I'll just show you this funny video of me scanning some objects that I had in my house to make a neural field of it using Kaolin Wisp. So yeah, you just take a camera video. You can basically load up this like movie that you recorded, run some scripts to generate camera paths for them. The stuff on the left hand side was the camera paths, and you can render it inside our app and train it also. Yeah, so that wraps up pretty much the slides that I have from SIGGRAPH.
Nice.
Very cool. I mean, the thing that jumps out to me, first of all, amazing work. I could see why you're a research scientist. Very impressive. But it seems to me like that one of the key things here is to increase the accessibility of doing this kind of work, right? So basically opening up this field to many other people who probably would not have had the ability to do it without something like Kaolin Wisp. Is that fair to say?
I think so, yeah. So Instant NGP already exists with all the stuff built in there, but it's a little bit hard for non-developers or maybe like non-super expert engineers to extend just because everything's written in optimized C++ and CUDA code. Whereas this library provides like, modules that you can just mix and match, and everything's written in Python and PyTorch, which is a little bit easier to grasp for everybody, I think. And especially this is feedback that we received as, internally even from researchers that, researchers, these are like super smart people. They usually work with Python and PyTorch just because that just makes everything much more productive and much more accessible for everybody.
Very cool. I need to scan in my cat.
So yeah, one thing I wanted to ask. Whenever the community team's taking or sees new stuff like this, where we're going to see like great new things come from new ideas, from new places, from the community who didn't have access to these kind of tools before, the first thing that jumps to mind is like, how do they get help? So you mentioned there's a solid documentation page. The source is on GitHub already. But for people who are just starting out, what do you recommend would be the best first steps to get in? Like, should I set up a Kaolin Wisp Discord channel now? Because we don't have that. So would that be something we should do as a community team? Is there a forum area for Kaolin Wisp, or what are your suggestions?
Yeah, I think there's like a bunch of different ways of getting involved. I guess if you're a beginner just trying to, like resolve like very like I guess like the installation issues and stuff like that. So basically if you go on our GitHub page, we already have like all the installation instructions and like how to run like a few scripts so you can like load up your own data and then like do your own 3D reconstruction and everything. But what we don't provide maybe is like an avenue, like maybe like a forum of like people to discuss like problems they have. So I think like if we had a Discord for that, that might be nice so that we can have more one-to-one, not maybe one-to-one, but more immediate communication. But if you have like any like burning issues or any feature requests you have or like anything that you think is like a bug or anything like that, you can basically go on GitHub, click on issues, and you'll have to have a GitHub account to do this. But if you have a GitHub account, you can basically submit an issue onto the GitHub, and that will basically notify us, the developers, and then we will take care of the issue and talk to you to find out what we can do to help you. If you don't want to post this on like a super public issues channel on GitHub though, like doing something like a Discord channel might actually be super helpful.
Okay, so I'm going to do that while we do this stream. I'm going to set it up. We actually have a channel for Kaolin called Kaolin App. It's under the Omniverse Apps category on the Discord server. Does Wisp warrant its own channel, or should Wisp topics go under the Kaolin App channel, you think?
I think the Kaolin app is a little bit separate from so that's like another like thing in the Kaolin ecosystem. It's a little bit confusing because we all call them kind of Kaolin, but there's a Wisp, there's Core, and then App. So those three are separate things. So I think one for Wisp would be nice too.
Okay, cool. So I will do that right now. And so Wendy, I guess we need to set up a new subform.
Yep.
So we will do that. And where? So let me see. So where should people, like, if they want to share their stuff they're creating? One place, I guess, we always want people to submit to the Omniverse gallery page. So it would be great if people, if they create something, share your video clip, like we just saw yours to Wiki. That'd be awesome. And we can promote it there. And then, but where else can people share their stuff, you think? You want people to share the stuff online on Twitter and make any special hashtags?
I guess like right now I think there's already a hashtag for the instant nerf stuff, I believe, on Twitter. So like maybe something similar would be nice.
All right, so we will work on that. And then I should also add that after the live streams, what we do is we hang out on Discord for a few minutes. And so if you're available after the live stream finishes up, we can go there and answer any specific questions people might have that may be a little too deep for talking on the big live stream here on Twitch and YouTube. So I invite people to come on, hang out. If you have a few minutes to Wiki, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And that's basically our Discord server is discord.gg/NVIDIA Omniverse, and we have a voice chat channel there called Community Voice Chat, which is actually incidentally getting a lot of use lately because we have a few non-Twitch YouTube kind of streams happening just on our Discord server only. We mentioned earlier, Jen and Ashley have been doing hangouts today, actually for kind of mini extension jam to help people making extensions. So we'll hang out in that channel after this community voice chat, and then maybe in the future, if there's an opportunity for people who want to get feedback on their work or just share, we could set up an event for people to hang out and show off their Kaolin Wisp stuff on the Discord server, and everyone can share their screen. So look forward to that. I think that would be pretty fun. I would love to see Wendy's cat visualized in this awesomeness. So what kind of like processing power, hardware, what's any special requirements here?
Yeah, I guess like we don't have any specific requirements, but I guess the newer the GPU, the better the GPU, the better usually. And then, we do have like we haven't really tested what's the smallest GPU we can test on, but you basically need like some amount of like graphics memory that you can actually fit all this like, processing onto. So you probably want at least 4 gigabytes or 8 gigabytes or something like that, just so you can run it.
There's another question on the chat. Is there a limitation for reflective and refractive surfaces?
Yeah, so that's like definitely a problem that exists. But I think what's nice about the Kaolin Wisp library is that we basically provide a building blocks to do this kind of work. So if you have like ideas of like, making something explicitly reflective or refractive or something like that, we think that it's super easy to like implement these features on top of Kaolin Wisp. And we always welcome, being an open source project, like we always welcome contributors from the community. So if you have cool ideas of like dealing with these things, that would be super awesome to have, I think. It's actually interesting because like yeah, reflective problems can be definitely a problem. And if you saw that, Karen Chang's like demo that we just showed just now,
Yeah.
Jia was actually standing in front of a mirror. So what the neural field does is that instead of like learning that's a mirror, it actually creates another mirrored world on the other side of the mirror, which I think in itself is kind of cool. Just thinking about that.
So along the topic of artists, I know that there's been this influx of on social media of just people showing their nerfs. That we had that NVIDIA contest recently. Is Kaolin Wisp at all for artists, or are they better off sticking with instant NGP?
I think if your purpose is to just want to use instant NGP and you just want to be a user of instant NGP, I think using instant NGP makes much more sense just because it's already optimized, it's super fast and everything. But if you, for example, want to like, try something out new, so like basically like do something unique that maybe it would be harder to implement in something like instant NGP, then I think Kaolin Wisp is a really good, prototyping ground for something like that. The way we like to think of it is kind of like in research, we sometimes, a lot of researchers use something called MATLAB to prototype stuff in before they write the complicated, optimized C++ code to do everything fast. So we kind of think of this as like the MATLAB equivalent where you can prototype first in our library before, you might want to, have like a pull request to like instant NGP if you think it's a feature that everyone would make use of.
Very cool. Yeah, the value for researchers is undeniable. That just the ease of use, I'm sure, is going to be great.
I think for artists too, if there's like unique effects and stuff like that that you want to consider for your neural field stuff, then like it might be easier to prototype in our library as well.
Very cool. I just created the channel. So there's officially a Kaolin Wisp channel under the category on Discord server of Omniverse apps. So it's right under a Kaolin app. So I will populate with some resources, including the link to source. But definitely feel free to use that channel. Anyone listening, if you want to dive into this, and we can help out. And you can also chat with other users who are doing this. So if you are new to this and you're just starting out for the first time, you think an exercise would be kind of like what you showed off just a minute ago, like just do we have any is that explained in the documentation about those just initial steps of getting started? It is.
So yeah, what was the question again?
Basically, so the documentation includes very basic 101 steps on doing like what you did with your couch. If anyone wants to give it a go right away. Okay, cool. So that would be awesome if people in the community want to start recording cool stuffies on their couch. We would love to see if you can beat that scene. That would be great. So I guess obviously the more objects and the more stuff happening is the more performance draining, right?
Yeah. And I guess something else that I'm super excited about also is like what kind of like really cool features people can implement using Kaolin Wisp. So it might be crazy stuff like, like for example, like you want to edit out like an entire object out from like a recording that you made or something like that, or like make them move in weird ways and stuff like that. I think those are all really cool stuff to play around with.
That's great. So it's only been a few days, but have you seen anything in the wild since SIGGRAPH, or is stuff not coming in yet?
Not in terms of I think pull requests really, but it's only been a few days really. So, but internally we have a lot of users for Kaolin Wisp who are already like implementing really cool stuff and contributing. So that's always exciting.
That's very cool. Well,
keep an eye on like bug fixes though, which is really nice.
Oh, okay, cool. So that's a good question. So for bug reporting and stuff like that, the typical channel that we want people to use is the Omniverse forums because we can track that. We will put a link to that in the Kaolin Wisp Discord channel. But you're always free to kind of communicate bugs and stuff on Discord, but the problem is that we don't have a good tracking system integrated with Discord. So we always suggest people post on the forum, and if you really want to shout about it on Discord, put a link to the forum post on Discord so that we can track it. And that's just the quickest way to get resolution, because the whole Omniverse developer team is integrated with forums, and Discord doesn't have that kind of back-end connection.
For bug reporting, I think the GitHub issues is probably the most direct to us, I think, because we're always monitoring the GitHub issues. So
okay, cool, perfect. Thank you for that correction. That's great. And maybe for feature requests, the forum
or the issues, or even Discord, or like even emailing us directly, we'll probably see it.
Okay. You said email directly?
Yeah, you can even email us if you want. But yeah, if you post on any of the places, you can we'll probably see it.
Okay, cool. Let me see. So I'm not sure. So go ahead, Wendy.
I was going to say, there is a question from Scene Graph Studios. They say, this might be a silly question. Is Nerf capable of making videos? What they mean by that is taking multiple cameras and using them to make a Nerf short film.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So there's actually some research projects that do this kind of like, what do we call temporal Nerfs, where it's like, it's not just like a static scene that you're recording. So like right now what it's capable of is making a 3D photograph. If you want to make a 3D video or something like that, it's a little bit harder to do. As in, Kaolin Wisp, we don't actually support that right off the bat right now. But if you want to do something like that, it's actually, I can post like some like research papers basically on the Discord channel, and you can try implementing some of that within Kaolin Wisp. And this is something that we'll also probably be implementing, because this is more research related stuff. But as a research scientist, like on my day-to-day research job, I'm very interested in this idea of making 3D videos from using Nerfs. So that is definitely something that is planned in future features.
Very cool.
And do you know offhand if there's anything at GTC related to? Are we going to be doing a similar thing at SIGGRAPH at GTC for Wisp?
That I'm not super sure about.
Okay, so so just for anyone who hasn't registered yet, I know we just talked about it a few minutes ago, but there's going to be a ton of announcements at GTC. If you thought the SIGGRAPH number of announcements was a lot, buckle up, because GTC is gonna be a little wild ride for all the stuff happening. Speaking of which, at SIGGRAPH we announced that audio to face got a big feature update, including audio to emotion. It's not really related to Kaolin Wisp, but just bring it up really quick. On next week's live stream, we're going to have folks from the audio to face team show us kind of some of these new features, and we're going to put them to the test by having a user who hasn't used these features yet come on and ask questions live. So that user is none other than Jay Salino of JS Films. He will be. I told him don't use it yet, because I want you to ask all the great questions that you've seen it for the first time. So that should be a really fun live stream. That's next week. So I think I think if you have time, unless we have other questions from is there?
One that just popped up from NV Lab. How long did it take to process the couch scene versus the piano scene?
So I'm not super sure how long the piano scene, because like I didn't make that one, so I didn't actually see it. But the couch scene was a few minutes.
Okay.
So you can just click run on the app, and it will take a few minutes. If you use Instant NGP for this, though, it will be much faster. Kaolin Wisp is not performance optimized, so it will take a little bit longer than Instant NGP. But basically, the benefit you get is the flexibility.
Awesome. Thank you.
Very cool. So is there anything that you want to mention that maybe we're not clear about in any kind of documentation or tutorials? Use this chance to point that, or any kind of common mistakes, or just kind of bottlenecks that people might be good to know.
I guess we've been we're continually updating the documentation on GitHub to reflect a lot of the confusions that people have. So I think that will be continually. You should always refer to the GitHub documentation. If you think that anything's not clear, just definitely let us know on the issues or something like that. And yeah, the issues really can be anything. So if you have any difficulty, you can just post the GitHub issues, and we'll take care of it. Aside from that, I think so I just gave the slide, the presentation part of the SIGGRAPH demo that we gave. The part I didn't give was that the second half of that SIGGRAPH demo was actually my colleague Orperel doing a live coding demo of like him basically taking our library, implementing a new feature on the spot live to basically and showcasing a demo of that interactively also. So if you want to see like a deep dive of like, you know, seeing the actual code, how easy it is to like extend the code basically using just like very simple scripts, you should definitely check out that live stream from SIGGRAPH.
Okay, that's great.
Awesome.
We'll look for that in a second and post a link, put in the description of the live stream. And I think this would be a great opportunity to kind of hang out for a few minutes. I already see a couple people there. I don't know if they're waiting for us, but in the community voice chat channel, unless Maddie or Wendy, you could think of anything else you want to.
There's one more community question that I think is worth asking here. Can we use NERF to estimate stereo depth, given that we have access to previous n number of stereo image pairs?
If I understand that question correctly, like basically like if you have these like multi-view images, you can do 2D reconstruction. So because you have a 3D reconstruction of that scene, you also get the per image depths also. So yeah, you can use it to get depths.
Cool. And I have selfishly just a general NERF question, if you want to try to answer it.
Sure.
I know Instant NGP lets you convert to polygons, polygon mesh, and then you can use that. Where do you see NERF in the future? Do you think we could integrate that into 3D pipelines?
I think so, yeah. So there's actually a couple of cool both startups as well as research papers that do this kind of thing. The research paper is mobile NERF. Mobile NERF basically is a way of like, you know, kind of converting a NERF-like thing to like a triangle mesh. And this is really cool because you can basically go on a mobile NERF website and look at this like NERF in like live on like a website. There's another startup that's also working on something very similar, which is Luma AI. You can basically also go on their website and look at these NERFs in real time. And I think those are also based on polygon meshes. So I think it's like a really interesting research problem even to like think about once you train this NERF inside, you know, Instant NGP or Kaolin Wisp or whatever you want to use, we basically want to make it easy to just click a button. It will just export that, you know, NERF triangle mesh, and you can load it up into a game engine or like a web browser or anything like that to visualize in real life. And the quality, you'll probably get like a quality loss with compared to the neural field directly. But I think that's like a nice pipeline that basically goes from like, you know, images to neural field to like polygon mesh, and basically you can stop at any point of that pipeline to basically make full use of it in any kind of way you want to do.
Cool, thank you.
What do you think the bare minimum requirement is for experience level to get started? Someone's asking, like, if can I give it a try without any extensive coding skills?
I think if you have like, I guess no experience. Well, I guess it depends on if you can use a Linux machine, or like you can use like get around with like a command line interface. I think you can definitely at least make it like a 3D reconstruction of something. If you want to extend the code to like, you know, add features and stuff like that, you'll probably need experience with Python and PyTorch to do that.
That's great. Well, thank you so much. I think this has been super informative, especially for people who are just learning about it for the first time, which is probably most of the people out there. Really exciting stuff, and really can't wait to see what people do with this and how they use it. It seems like, yeah, like we mentioned earlier, that opens the door to a lot of new things that weren't done before. So thank you for presenting everything, and especially so soon after SIGGRAPH. And if you have a few minutes, we'd love to invite you to the community voice chat channel and chat for a few more minutes, see if anyone has other questions. And then again, to recap, so we want to encourage people to post issues, suggestions in the GitHub, right, in the source issues. And then if you want to chat with other users, definitely use the Discord channel that we set up just a few minutes ago, called Kaolin Wisp under Omniverse app category. And then we'll probably soon set up a forum area on official forums as well. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time and explaining everything at every level. Really a pleasure and great to meet you. We haven't met before today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me here. It was super fun talking with everybody about this. So yeah, we're super excited to share what we built. So
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
this
well-
is really cool. I need
Definitely.
to get in there and play with it. Yeah. Awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody. So we're going to head over to the community voice chat channel, and then just a quick reminder that our Extend Omniverse contest has been extended. So you have until September 9th now to work on your extension, and there's a mini extension gem happening today. It happened early, and there's another one happening this afternoon. So look at the events area of our Discord server, and you can get a notification when it happens. Tomorrow, we're doing a very special live stream because we just planned it a couple days ago. We are going to talk about the contest and help people with any questions they have on making an extension. So Damien and Paul will be here. That's going to happen at 12 p.m. Pacific. So 3 p.m. Eastern, and we'll probably hang out for as long as we need to help answer questions. And we're going to take a look at some of the recent contest submissions that people have done to extend Omniverse. And then, as I mentioned, next week we're going to have Jay Selena with members of the Audio to Face team. We're going to talk about audio to face, audio to emotion, and look at some of the new features that were just announced and rolled out during SIGGRAPH. So that should be a really fun one also. And finally, do not forget GTC. Less than 1 month away. The clock is ticking. The sooner you register, the more information you'll get. That's really helpful to the stuff you want to learn most about. And if you have any questions on that stuff, definitely feel free to use the GTC channel we set up on the Discord server, and we'll help you. With that, I will stop talking and thank you very much for your time. Wendy, thank you very much for all the effort here on the back end, getting the stream to work. And Maddie, as always, thank you again. Oh, Maddie, do you want to talk about when you're also doing stuff on the Discord server, right?
Yeah, every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern, I'm doing a stream. I'm building a bookshelf generator in Omniverse using mostly USD. So there's 3 parts that are going to be on YouTube, and the 4th one is what we'll be doing next week.
Awesome. So people can watch YouTube, see what they missed up to this point, and then go live on Tuesday. So that's great. And that's happening so every Tuesday. Do you know what you're going to do next after this one wraps up?
I don't know yet. There's still a good number of weeks that I can extend this one. There's a lot to polish to do.
Okay, cool. Awesome. All right. So lots to look forward to. Thank you once again for coming, and thanks for the great questions during the stream. We're going to head over to the Discord server. And until tomorrow, we'll see you soon.
Yep. Bye, everyone.
I'm kinda like complicated. I never
I see
know
Papa Chuck
how to
already.
chase it, no.